All right, so we know that a lot of matches are being played at world-class stadia, and that's raised people's interest in how much money has actually been directed towards infrastructure over the last year or so.
Well, that's a good question. The infrastructure is divided in two parts, as you may appreciate. One which is strictly associated with the events of like the stadiums, etc. The other parts of the infrastructure are roads, overpass, and other projects important that are going to continue to support. So overall, we are talking about $500 million of investments.
I mean, obviously last year we saw quite a bit of money coming through from multilateral donors. The African Development Bank gave Gabon over $800 million. We're seeing money coming through from the Indian and the Chinese. What sort of criteria are being applied here, and what's the government's responsibility in a lot of these projects?
Well, in regard to the Bank of Africa Bank, I don't know how much investment they have put. We are not involved at GNGT, at l'Agence Nationale des Grands Travaux. However, the Chinese have in fact contributed to support of the construction of the stadium that is hosting actually the main game in Libreville. That was a present, as understood, by the Chinese government to the government of Gabon. So that's not included in the price by itself. If we put the value to it, it's probably around 150 million that can be added to it. I do not know exactly the value that the Chinese has invested.
I think what we want to find out, Mr. Ohayon, is basically when we say what sort of criteria, it's a question of credit worthiness. How do international funders, international banks view Gabon in all sorts of infrastructure projects, whether it's roads, whether it's transport, whether it's housing? What is the appetite for coming into Gabon?
Well, the investments in Gabon is divided in three parts. As you may appreciate, Gabon are getting their own revenues, and they are financing most of the projects. They do also have an investments through financing from the different banks. We are personally, I am not involved on the investments, how this is handled. I do only manage a project through the value by itself. But my understanding, our financing are coming through sometime direct financing from the banks in different parts of the world, and also through the investment directly from the government of Gabon.
Okay, let's talk about after the AFCON Cup. You build all these stadia, you build all these facilities, and then what happens? I think people are always concerned about white elephants, that you make all these infrastructure investments in sporting facilities, and thereafter it's not put to any good use.
This is an extremely very important question that you're raising, and thank you for raising it, for highlighting it. It is extremely important. The president of Gabon had made it clear that he doesn't want to have any white elephants. He wants to make sure that those infrastructure that we have built are going to serve a number of purposes. For example, all our stadiums now, we are working on it to secure international companies who have tremendous experience in managing those kind of structures, that we can use it not only for events like like what we have now, but much bigger than that. We can use it for wedding, we can use it for social activities, we can use it for events with the different universities. We can use it for number of aspects that can give us a dimension, and more particularly, but mostly, to make sure that those infrastructure are going to be maintained, are going to be used, and they are going to rest for long time, other than what happened up to now.
You know, one of the biggest problems we had, or the challenges we had as South Africa ahead of the 2010 FIFA World Cup, was not just to build the sporting facilities, but the infrastructure to support it, to make sure that there's roads construction, to make sure that shopping malls are updated, that there was a whole synergy of infrastructure investments around the sporting facilities. Is that what's happened in Gabon?
Yes, that is correct. We are, for example, working on the program of 2012-2016, very aggressive program that will continue. What the president of the country doesn't, what he didn't want, is to have only infrastructure associated with the can, and after that everything will go down. To the contrary, the program of 2012-2016 is extremely large, going from number of projects, over 100 projects, high value, going from housing, infrastructure, roads, ports, new airports, renovations of existing airports, renovations of number of schools, universities, building new universities, building also the increasing the capacity of the different ports that we can have, and of course building port mall infrastructure for industrial city, but more particularly also is creating tourism inside, creating more green space for the people, and hospitals, schools, etc.